What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to see if I can make some Mame Cascade Junipers fit into these pots by Bob Pots. All right, well, as you can see, these are very, very small, and they're even smaller on the inside because about the bottom half of them is more solid clay or just drainage. And Bob does a lot of like kind of just organic carving of teeny little containers like this. So what I'm going to try to do is get some of these junipers that I've been growing in these 2-inch growing containers into these pots, and I'm hoping that it won't be too much of a stretch, but I'm going to try a few of them. So I've already put a drainage screen into the center of, or into the bottom of this pot, and I haven't tied it in because I'm trying to make it so that there's not too much going in and out of these holes, but I am going to add a tie wire to each one of these, and I'm using 1mm aluminum, anodized aluminum, so that it's not super visible, going from one drainage hole to the other, then up through. These are so small that I can't even fit my fingers inside. Well, I can fit one finger. All right, with those 4 pots prepped, let's go ahead and grab one of these junipers and take it out of the container. And these have, well, let's just see what the roots look like. So good healthy roots and root density on this, but not quite as dense as it could be. So it's maybe going to be a little bit of a stretch to get it in here. Basically, I'm going to have to cut off 3/4 of the roots to even get close. So I'll just start by doing that. So with each one of these, there's previously been some shari work that I've done, but I'm going to go ahead in this case and just kind of extend it down the trunk here a little bit towards the root base, so that as I stick it into a pot, that it doesn't have sort of a reverse taper developing. And basically, the idea here is that as you strip bark from a juniper, the new wood that is being laid down by the cambium layer starts from the top and goes down, but as you strip the bark, you're making it go, more of it go through a thinner channel, which means that you get more wood deposit on one side versus another. In other words, you're making the trunk more irregular looking, but you don't want to make that irregularity turn into reverse taper if you can avoid it. Each one of Bob's pots is slightly unique, and so one of the challenges here is going to match up the movement of the trunk with the pot, and so it's probably going to take me a few minutes on each of these. I would say there's a few things that I'm not doing. I'm not pulling off any of this interior growth quite yet because I don't know exactly what the design of the tree is going to be. I want to kind of get the trunk line in relation to the pot, and then I'll do a little bit of wiring and positioning of foliage, at which point I'll then come back and start to take off some of these little tufts of foliage that are not as useful, or even cut off certain pieces. All right, so I think the most interesting part of the face of this pot is actually this corner. So this face has more texture. That could be the front, or I could use this corner of the pot as the front, emphasizing either this face or this face, something like that. Such an informal pot that there's no like strong convention. So we have to kind of branch out on our own and do something relatively new. And that's actually one of the reasons why I really like Bob's pots. So I've got the tree kind of tied in there, and then because I only have one tie wire and the pot is so tiny, I'm actually going to, so that you can see there's kind of some wiggle here. So what I'm going to do, because it's a deep pot, I'm actually going to work some soil down in there to sort of firm up the side-to-side movement a little bit. One in the pot, 3 more to go. Two. All right, well, with the 4 of these actually in pots, I'm going to give them a quick squirt with a water bottle, and then it'll be time to start styling them so they actually look like bonsai. All right, as opposed to my growing operations, I am going to start this using copper wire because it's sort of a finished tree, or it will be after this to a certain extent. And I'm going to start with a piece of 14 copper stuck into the pot here to retrace the line of the cascade so that I can modify it as I need to. To say it makes it significantly harder to wire this, not being able to just pull off tufts of foliage. And like I mentioned earlier, the reason I can't pull off the tufts is that I need to leave most of what is closest to the base intact, because I'm likely going to cut off these runners to a certain extent. Which begs the question, why am I wiring them? All right, so I've got a rough shape wired in here, but there's obviously way too much foliage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and remove a lot of the foliage that's dangling down. I don't want to remove all of it, but I want to remove enough so that the tree actually looks like a tree. You know, especially when we're doing small trees, I think that sometimes just simpler is better. So in this case, rather than having a more complex cascade, I am just going to do something that is going to make this a lot simpler. Ready, set, go. All right, there's one wired and cleaned up. So obviously this one has become a lot simpler and more Mame-like. Let's see if we can make one of the other ones slightly more complicated. All right, that's it for this time. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.